Hello and welcome to our second attempt at Kerafyrm. Here we successfully take him down. Um, you can see Deal moving into position here. From the standpoint of a rogue, this is actually a pretty simple fight. The real emote that a rogue needs to be concerned with here is the tail strike. The tail strike, if you're positioned behind him at the wrong time, he can hit you with his tail strike, and it does 20,000 hit points of damage. Um, so, really, all that means is the rogue has to, when you get that audio trigger, you have to swing around to the front part of Kerafyrm. And once the tail strike goes off, while you're in the front, you don't get hit by the tail. And once it goes off, you then swing back around to the back of Kerafyrm and continue with your attacks. Now, Kerafyrm has several different attacks. He has a wing flap to his left and a wing flap to his right. This really doesn't concern you because the arc of those wing flaps doesn't never hits you if you're positioned right on Kerafyrm's tailbone. Again, provided that you're not getting hit by a tail strike. Those wing flaps can do a lot of damage if you get hit by one. There's a glare. Kerafyrm can single you out, stare at you, and I don't really think there's any mitigation. That does about 3,000 or 3,300 hit points. So that's actually not too bad. I think you just have to take that like a man. There's the tail strike, which we talked about. There's a silence, which goes off every 10 seconds, so this really affects casters, although this did impair Deal's ability to use his twisted shank, which could have helped reduce, or it could have made Kerafyrm more susceptible to poison attacks. So I couldn't get twisted strike or twisted shank off on Kerafyrm. So there are certain melee abilities that require channeling, and Kerafyrm's silence will interrupt that. Now, the silence with respect to casters, it's every 10 seconds. So if you time your cast such that it completes just before the silence goes off, you should be good. And this is really for clerics and healers trying to time up the healing of the main tank. But once they got a hold of it, they figured out, they got on top of that pretty well. Now, there's also 4 effects that are thwartable. So there are these 4 guys that spawn. They're called heralds, and they actually help assist you in taking down Kerafyrm. Like I said, there's a lot going on in this fight. So Kerafyrm, in addition to all of the wing flaps and the tail strike, the glare and the silence, he also has a charge, which is a frontal. And since we're not positioned at the front, it doesn't affect rogues. But the frontal charge is 20,000 hit points right off the bat. But that's thwartable. There's a roar, which is a frontal that does 20,000 hit points of damage and has a stun component to it. That is thwartable, and we'll go over what that thwartable means. Then he has a breath weapon. Don't forget he has a breath weapon, which does 20,000 hit points right off the bat. It also reduces spell haste. It reduces your attack rate, so it's a slow. It affects your movement speed, so it's a snare, and it decreases your intelligence, wisdom, strength, and agility. So it debuffs your stats. So the charge, the roar, and the breath weapon are thwartable by having certain members of your raid go through quest dialogue with these heralds that are these dragon guys that are trying to assist you in putting the sleeper back to sleep. And the problem is, at 75% health, once Kerafyrm reaches 75% health, these assassins come out and they try to assassinate the heralds. So we actually have a completely separate team that you're not seeing that's dealing with the assassins and also dealing with the dialogue, making sure that the charge, the roar, and the breath weapon are thwarted. The silence, is dealt with by casters just timing up their heals and timing up their burns. Uh, Sorry, you cut my wife walking in the room while I was making this video. So, anyways, if the casters, the DPS casters, as well as the priests, if they time up their casting with the silence, they can avoid being silenced. Um, the assassins will stop spawning at 35%, but we have a dedicated team that's focused on taking out the assassins, dedicated team that's focused on going through the Herald's quest dialogue, and getting the timing of that dialogue right is very important. Finally, if all that weren't enough, you also have these crystals that spawn when Kerafyrm is at 75% health, and they put out an aura, which can hit you with a direct damage. So you've got so much going on in this fight. I think it's really fortunate that I'm playing Rogue here, and I know it would be kind of cool to play another class and to be involved with this fight in a different capacity. But really, from the standpoint of a Rogue, all you're really doing is just strafing around to the front, strafing around to the back. From a lore aspect, this is pretty cool because during the Velius era, Kerafyrm is, the sleeper. The sleeper is awakened. If you look at this fight right here, the 4 warders are coming back. So the way that the sleeper is awakened is in the Velius era, you kill the 4 warders protecting him, and then Kerafyrm is awakened, and he either kills your raid party or he goes off and kills everything in Velius. So what you do with this fight is you bring balance back into the world by killing Kerafyrm. You actually don't kill him, you put him back to sleep. So in this fight, we actually take him down to 4%. The warders are moved back into position, and you put him back to sleep. So that's pretty cool. I think that pretty much covers this fight. It is really special being able to take down end game boss in era. It's always like one of those great feelings on a TLP server that you're able to take down the final boss. And we did it approximately a month before the next expansion comes out, and this is what you live for in a TLP. I mean, this is one of those fights where you don't even care what the loot is. You just want to be able to say that you defeated Kerafyrm. So, anyways, I've talked enough, and I'll just leave the rest of the dialogue to my firsthand experiences. All right, I hope you enjoy. Right there's my steadfast servant. It's because my channeling was. All right, 15. I'm using the last discipline. At 1%, I'm going to shout elbow strike. I can't wait to see how they react. But I think we got him. Yeah, I'm really kicking his ass. This is nice. So what we did was we put the sleeper back. We put him back to sleep. So he's sleeping now. He's not dead. He's asleep. So here are the 4 warders, I think.
So we just beat the expansion. Isn't that awesome? That's so cool. So these are the 4 warders. Oh, we're doing screenshots, so I have to be an ogre illusion for this. Let's see here, ogre. And let's summon Bristlepane. Probably open this chest. Yay!